Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Wax. Wax's podcast, episode 75. I don't know if that's silver or gold or frankincense or myrrh. I don't know what anniversary that is. Some of you might not even know what I'm talking about, but every milestone type number, for some reason, numbers usually divisible by 25 is some type of milestone. So I'm just going to consider today a milestone on Wax's podcast. It is episode 75, Wax's podcast. I'm here. It's late at night. Not feeling real energetic. Just kind of laid back, chilling, laid back, relaxing at the studio. You know what I'm saying? Just lay down some real smooth tracks. Real smooth tracks for your eardrums to get down with. Smooth tracks that you can just kick back. Sit next to your old lady on the couch. Maybe put your finger in between her legs. Start to twiddle a little bit. And just twiddle and twiddle and twiddle till she gets nice and aroused. And when she finally does get aroused, just go ahead and hit play. And the smooth tracks of Wax will relax her mind and let her conscience be free. And get down with the sound of EPMD. Hey, you know what? I just ate some falafel. And my commentary, as far as falafel goes, I've had falafel probably 10 times in my life. The first time I had falafel ever in my life, it was delicious. My mind was blown. I was like, what is this food that I've never had before? You have to understand the neighborhood in which I grew up in suburban Maryland was a very non-diverse neighborhood. And when I say that, I mean, if it was pretty much you were either white or black where I grew up. There was hardly any Hispanic people, hardly any Asian people, hardly any Middle Eastern people, hardly any Jewish people. By the way, if you're black and white, either way, you're generally Christian of some sort. But lo and behold, as I like to say on Wax's podcast, one day there was a festival. We used to put on a festival when I was in high school. Me and my brother and a couple of my friends, we'd put on this festival. It was called Mayfest. The first one was actually in my parents' backyard when I was in, I think, 9th grade. And my band played there. My brother was in another band playing drums when he was in a punk band. The band was called Fruit Truck, by the way. They had some originals. And they played some covers by bands such as Operation Ivy and Rancid. And there was like a death metal band there. Anyway, we did it the first year there, and we continued to do it for like 4 years, pretty much until we moved out of that area. And in one of those years, we had Mayfest at my boy Johnny Roberts' house. And Johnny Roberts' dad had like a big front yard. So he fucking built a stage. And we had, we played, my band McGregor played. At that time, we were kind of like a jam band / funk band / I don't know, smoke weed in the basement and just see what you play as your, in your mind, just let your mind be free. You know what I'm saying? Just let your mind be free and just let them fingers get to strutting around the fretboard and just see what kind of sounds come out of that guitar. You know what I'm saying? And, we just kind of wild out. We had a ska band. I think we had a couple rap groups. And, it was a good old time. That's where we had it for the next few years, is in Johnny Roberts' dad's front yard. Stage just stayed up all year, just getting set for May, because May Fest would be happening. And the only reason I bring this up is because one time at May Fest, there was one Jewish family in my entire area, the Lubkins. And Avram Lubkin, I don't know if I should be saying people's full names, but I remember his name. His name was Avram Lubkin. And they were like the only Jewish family. They were probably the only Jewish family that would have attended my high school. So I don't know shit about Judaism to this day, really, because I don't generally know shit about anything. But I do have a lot of Jewish friends now. Davey, that I split the studio with and make music with all the time, for example. I mean, he takes Jewish to the next level. I mean, he's actually from Israel, so if maybe that's next level Judaism, I don't know. But that's all besides the point. The one Jewish kid actually set up a food stand when I was in high school. And he was making all vegetarian food. And this is in an area where people, like, it's really hard to explain nowadays, especially living out here in LA. Like, people where I'm from, like, they ain't vegetarians. Like, there's no vegetarian. It might have changed now. I haven't been there in a long time. A lot of things are different about the place that I grew up. It's a whole different place now. It was a lot more rural back then, where now it's full-on American suburbia. It looks like every other town in America. So I'm sure there's probably at least a couple places with the vegetarian options. But, like, you know, like my parents have never had sushi in their lives. And most people from that area probably haven't either. They consider it some type of exotic thing, as do they consider the avocado. That's just a kind of an East Coast, West Coast thing. But, you know, people where I'm from don't eat avocados. People where I'm from don't eat sushi. You know what I'm saying? And people where I'm from are not familiar with the food falafel. And this day, the day of May Fest, God rest its soul, the soul of May Fest, which still lives on in my heart and the heart of many others. But it just doesn't exist anymore because there was nobody to carry the torch, I suppose. But this day, young Avram had a food stand. He was selling vegetarian food. And the main thing that he was selling, interestingly enough, there was somebody else there selling food, and they were selling everything deer. Deer sausage, deer, like, you know, people hunt deer, and they take pride in making everything out of venison. Deer jerky, deer sausage, deer burgers, deer everything. It's kind of gamey. Fucking word is funny when people describe food as gamey. I know exactly what they mean. I know the taste. I don't like that taste. I don't like the taste of gamey stuff. But I remember telling a friend that I thought it would be funny if you described the taste of a woman's vagina as gamey. Anywho, young Mr. Lubkin was selling his falafel. And me being the open-minded individual that I was at the time, when I was probably 16, 17, I decided to try some. And let me tell you, I don't know what young Avram put in that falafel. I don't know if he had actually taken love, the actual emotion of love, and somehow powderized it, put it into a salt shaker, and put that on the falafel. I don't know what he did, but it was one of the most delicious things I had ever eaten. I was like, holy shit, what is this food? This is amazing. And I think I got a second helping of it, and I was taken aback. I was taken aback by Mr. Lubkin. We wouldn't have called him Mr. Lubkin. I can't even say that, Lubkin. We wouldn't have called him Mr. Lubkin at the time, just probably Avram. We wouldn't have even called him Young Avram, as I've been calling him. Because he's not a rapper. He should have been, though. That'd been awesome. Young Avram. Avram. God damn, his name is hard to say. Avram Lubkin. But, and I've said it a lot. But we wouldn't have called him Young Avram at that time because we were all his same age. But my point is the falafel was delicious. And ever since then, you know, about once a year, I have falafel again. I'll go to a Middle Eastern type of restaurant, Mediterranean type of restaurant, even just a plain old vegetarian restaurant. My boy Davey, for example, that I'd share the studio with, he's a vegetarian. So sometimes I'll go with him and we'll go to a vegetarian place. We don't really do that often, but fuck it. My point is sometimes I eat falafel, okay? And the second time I ate falafel, I was just like, man, falafel ain't shit. This falafel ain't shit. I wasn't talking shit about falafel at the time. I was thinking that whoever made this falafel, this second time I'm consuming falafel, just whatever Avram did, this guy did not do. This guy or girl who prepared this did not put the love into this that Avram did. And since then, you know what it is? It's like, you know, they say, as far as heroin addiction is concerned, you're always chasing that first time. That first high is really what you're going for every time you stick that needle in yourself. You're just hoping and hoping to get to that first high. If you can't, you're just hoping to maintain. And at this point, y'all, after probably about 10 times of having falafel, I just got to say that falafel ain't shit, man. I do not like falafel. It must have been It could have been maybe it was just my taste buds were so young. It's like when you have sex for the first time. It doesn't really matter if the sex is good, because it's just fucking sex, and sex is good the first time. And that's how that falafel was, I think. Or maybe he just made excellent falafel, because I just haven't had falafel since that I liked. It always seems old. It always seems like it's not fresh. And it just tastes like, if you know what a hush puppy is, it tastes like if you took a hush puppy and just made it more granular and more, tastes like a granular vegetable flavored hush puppy. That's what falafel tastes like to me. And people give you sauce, and it's like the sauce is never really gonna, like you can have bad chicken, and if you dip it in good barbecue sauce, it's still a good meal. But with bad falafel, I don't care what sauce it is, you're still sticking it on this spongy, this granulated old sponge fucking concoction. So that's my take on falafel. I didn't plan on talking about falafel today, but I just had it tonight for dinner, and it just wasn't the same. It wasn't like Avram's falafel, I'll tell you that much. And I wish that I could go back, just like a heroin addict wishes he could go back to the first day that he got high and get that fucking high again. I wish I could go back in time. I wish I could make like Cher, old reference, and turn back time and go back to that day, that illustrious, beautiful spring day where I had falafel for the first time and enjoyed it so much, because I don't think I'll ever get it back. So, that's what I decided to open up with today. Wax's Podcast, episode 75. The Platinum Edition. The Platinum Anniversary of Wax's Podcast. The best. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful. And let's be sincere. This is the 75th episode of the best podcast of all time. That's definitely not true, but I don't really have much else to talk about. What a lot of my week has been. I've been doing two things this week. I've been working on a lot of music. I want to let you guys know that I've been working really hard. I'm here in the studio now. This studio that I have is just like an amazing dream come true for me, man. Like, I don't have to worry about neighbors. The sound it's relatively soundproof, and it just sounds really good in here. All the walls are padded and soundproofed. So when you you can bump the music and it sounds good. Got all kinds of different keyboards, synthesizers, basses, guitars. Good computer, nice fresh computer. We got a vocal booth, and I've just been pretty much in here making music. And not all of it's the best. Not all of it's the best, but we're trying to, you got to make, nobody bats 1,000, Nobody bats 1,000, but I'll tell you what, I got some good ones. I'm working on some good ones, y'all, so I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing yet, but I think that I might try a different approach to the way I put out music next year. Either way, I think I'm gonna at least drop a few songs in like January. Just drop some new shit, because I haven't put out new shit in a long time, and so I've been doing that, working on music in the studio. And the other thing that's going on in my life is I'm moving. I think I might have mentioned on the last podcast that I was gonna move, but now I'm not gonna move. I am gonna, it's not just a thought. It's not an idea. It's a reality. Tomorrow I'm officially moving all my shit to my new apartment. Thank you. Thank you very much. I got a new apartment. Still never owned a home. Still never owned a home in my life. All the fucking money that I made, the deals that I used to get, don't own a home. It's difficult today in America. It's not easy to own a home in America. But I did get there's a cool little apartment, and the good thing is, as many as you know, to live in Venice, California, where I currently live, it's an expensive place to live. You're right by the beach. And I'm moving back to the valley, moving to North Hollywood, California. I'm going to be in a cool little area, which is pretty close to my studio. Not close enough that I'm going to be lazy. Close enough that there is a journey from home to lab that makes it like I'm going to work. It's not like I just walk over and be like, oh, I'm feeling good. Be lazy like I sometimes get in that trap, you know what I mean? But officially moving tomorrow. I'm doing something for the first time in my life. I've talked about this on the podcast before. I think my last move, when I moved to Venice, I considered getting moving guys, like calling a moving company. Well, guess what? I did that this time. That was supposed to be an applause, but it just sounded like a man beating a table. I got a moving company. I'm a man now. I'm an important man with important things to do. And it's just, I just can't risk hurting my fingers. What if I go to lift things and I hurt my fucking delicate, non-blue collar, bitch ass? Let's be honest, they're bitch ass. That's the best adjective to describe my hands at this point in my life is bitch ass. If I hurt my oh so delicate fingers, what will I do, So I got a moving company. My shit, I ain't got a lot of shit. It'll probably take up 2 seconds to do it. It's not really expensive. So as of tomorrow, I will be a resident of North Hollywood, California, which I've actually been a resident of before. I lived in North Hollywood for like 3 years. Yeah, for like 3 years already. So it ain't nothing new. But I did get a cool apartment. My apartment is actually it's technically a loft, but when people say loft, they think of like this big, interesting they think it looks like a Chipotle. The way it, like the modern concrete floor and little metal shit of a Chipotle. Just that with enormous ceilings and shit. Mine just looks like a studio apartment with a high ceiling, but it has it's like one big room with kind of fake hardwood floors where like the kitchen is on one side and like the whole other side would be like a living room type of area. But then on the other side it has a staircase that goes up to this like tiny thing that's could be a bedroom or could just be a room to chill. But the reason I got the place is because that shit, there's a sliding glass door that goes out and there's this little private patio that's on a rooftop. I have my own little real private patio on this rooftop. It sounds way tighter than it is. It looks kind of shitty. The building is kind of a shithole type of building, but it's cool and I'm actually saving some money compared to where I was living in Venice. So bravo for me. And I'm going back to the valley. But so I've been moving. I don't have a lot of shit, so it's not that difficult. Like I've been packing all my shit into boxes, so that when the dudes come to move it, they can just grab it, put it in the truck, and just drive it up here, and then take it out the truck and put it in the house. And a lot of you out there are thinking, "What a pussy! Can't you just call a friend, call a couple friends, and like back in the day, you just be like, hey man, I'll pay you in beer and pizza." Let me tell you something. When you get a little bit older, especially when you don't really have that many friends, and the friends that you do have shit going on themselves, you kind of feel bad asking your friends to do things like that. Like back when you first start getting your own apartments and shit, it's kind of an interesting thing, and people are into helping you. But at this point, anybody that I know, a lot of them are out of town actually, and I just don't have enough friends that I would be willing to call and have help me move. Because I know that they're all, even if they would help, they'd be just doing it to be nice, and then in the back of their head the whole time they'd be thinking about all the other cool shit they could be doing that day. So I bit the bullet. I called a mover. I wish I could do it myself, but there's just certain things that are you need two people to move. And I didn't want to. I was thinking about doing the shit where maybe I just pick up a dude at Home Depot, but I figured, fuck it, man. I'm going to go all in, try something new, see what it's like, I actually used to be, for a brief period of time when I was in San Diego, I was on the other end of that stick. I worked for a moving company. That was a really short-lived job, even for me. That was a really short-lived job. But I did it. It was interesting. The most interesting thing that, I don't know if I told this story before, but it was me and this dude, the dude that ran the company. It was a real low-budget kind of company. And I remember the name of the company, but I'm not going to say it. It was just this dude that ran the company, and it was me. And then, like, sometimes he'd have other people that basically helped him on kind of a part-time basis. But I was, like, full-time for a very short period of time. And, you show up to the place, you put all... It's very, very not even remotely similar to rocket science. You show up at a place, they got a bunch of shit in there, and then you take all that shit and put it in a truck. And then you drive to their new place, and you take all the shit out of the truck and put it in there. Sometimes the people are there watching you, and sometimes they're getting really anal about, not knocking shit over and being really careful with things. They have nicer stuff and or care more about their stuff. But the only thing that I remember really from that experience was one day we moved there was these two dudes, right? And this was when I first moved to California. The first place I lived was San Diego, and the first job I had out there was this. Like right when I moved there, right when I moved to California, I got this moving job. And there was a phenomenon I hadn't heard of that I would learn about on this fateful day. We got to the place, and it was two dudes in there. Like it was like a 2-bedroom apartment. There was two dudes that lived in the apartment. It was a little bit stinky. I remember the apartment was like kind of BO-ish. And one of the dudes was kind of a bigger dude, and he had a fucking big ass beard, and he just looked kind of like a slovenly dude. The other dude was also a relatively large dude who had a big beard and was pretty damn slovenly himself. So we're moving all these dudes' shit, and the interesting thing about it, just off the jump, was me and my dude got there. The dude that I worked with. Hold on, I'm actually. God damn, this vent is blowing out hot air. So, what the fuck, man? Holy shit. We have a real problem in the studio with the dude. My Davey, and like the dude 2 doors down have developed like a little bit of a war because there's only one outside of our studios. There's one control for the temperature, and for some reason it's drastically different in here than it is in that guy's studio. So, and that guy's like he likes it super hot, so super hot. And they developed a little bit of a war. One of them will go change the temperature, and the other one will go change the temperature, and they had some words about it and shit. But the thing is, like when this dude over there, it's nobody's fault, because when he turns the fucking thermostat really hot, it's like okay in there, but in here it's like 1,000,000 fucking degrees. Like I'm sweating in here right now. It's crazy. But so anyway, both dudes are like these slovenly dudes, 2-bedroom apartment. We start moving shit, and as we're moving shit, they're helping us. And while that's going on, it's like some of their friends slowly start to help. And like it's like 4 after a while. It's like 4 dudes and then us. And these dudes are like bigger and stronger than us. So it's kind of like in my mind, I'm like, I'm hearing shit. Oh fuck, come on. So in my mind, I'm like, why the fuck do these guys even need us? And then when we get to the place that they're moving to, which was really close, it was just like in this little neighborhood in San Diego. We get there, and it's actually like this place is like a big like house, like almost like a really big house where other people are already living, and there's like people over there during the day kind of partying. And it's all dudes that kind of look like them. And then after a while, I'm like, wait a second. And we're moving stuff, and now there's like fucking 10 people plus us helping move. And it's awesome because it's going really fast. But I still don't understand why they called us. I mean, even now I don't. But I start kind of looking around at like some of the stuff on their walls and some of the possessions they have. And there's like a newspaper there, and there's all these stuff about bears. They're the bears this and the bears that. And if you don't know, there's a community within the gay community called the Bears. And they're kind of like dudes that they act like dudes, and they always have they're real hairy and shit like that, but they're gay dudes. I mean, now, like, I've heard of that from other things, like, but I didn't know about that at the time. So that's my moving job, is how I was introduced to the phenomenon of the bears. And I think that they just wanted to get some movers to look at. I think that they were looking at us like sexual objects, because I don't see why there'd be 10 dudes, all of them way the fuck stronger than and bigger than us, and they still wanted to call a moving company. I don't know. Who's who? Maybe there was a fantasy there. Maybe they hoped that, maybe they had their hopes up. Thank God we didn't get raped. But they wouldn't, I mean, if they raped us, they would have to probably kill us too. Which would be obviously terrible, but you can't just up and rape your movers, and expect them just to be cool with it. So how did I get, I got into that because I'm moving. And yeah, I was packing up all my stuff. It's very interesting, at least to me. When you pack up all your stuff to move, you're kind of, everything that you own, really kind of says something about who you are. And what was funny to me is that half of the shit that I own, I don't own that much shit, but first of all, most of it I could throw in a fire and not give a fuck about. First off, I don't need hardly anything that I own. Most of it I just don't throw away, because I could sell it if it has any kind of value. But I'm not a dude that cares about, like, I don't really give a fuck about sentimental value. Like, I have, like, for, like, I have platinum records for, like, those little plaques you get that have a platinum record, and it's like for Rosanna in Germany and Switzerland and Austria. And honestly, like, if those fell out of a moving truck or fell in, I'd throw them in a fire. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care about that shit. That, and, like, even, like, I have this box of keepsakes that has, like, old photos. And, like, the only time I ever look at that shit is when I'm moving. And I just, like, look at it briefly and be like, oh, yeah, this is, like, old photos and shit. But I never look at the old photos. One time I did. One time I went through them, because that when I discovered that that was back when Throwback Thursday came out. And I was like, most of them, I was just like, I can't post this. But, yeah. 87% of the shit that I own, I could throw in a fire and really not give a fuck about. Well, that's not true. 87% of the shit that I own that's at my house, the shit that I own that I care about is here in the studio. But the shit that I can't throw out, 50% of the shit that I'm moving, and that's literally the truth. 50% is like old wax merch. Like, I have I've made so much merch, like so much fucking shit with my name on it that I sell, that I don't just sell everything. There's always gonna be leftover. Like, if I got 15 small shirts of one type and not a lot of small people ordered that shirt, now I got 15 small shirts of that type. I mean, I could throw them in a trash can, but you could argue that that's like throwing money in a trash can, So it's just really, like, you start to think, like, at least I was starting to think as I looked around, it's just really, like, I have boxes of pint glasses with my name on it, lighters with my name on it, beer koozies with my name on it, ping pong balls, plastic cups, a million different types of t-shirts, several different types of CDs. I have USB flash drives. I just have all this shit. I have, like, weird posters and I have, like, pictures of me doing this and that are on my wall. Like, Brian Washington, my manager, had these pictures of me performing, blown up and framed. I have those. Like, they just sit in my closet and collect dust. Like, that's the kind of shit that I don't really care about, that kind of shit. But all that being said, it's just weird, like, looking at it. Like, if you wanted to get a picture of who I am from all the stuff that I own, it seems like, I just have all this shit with my own name on it, and it just seems really narcissistic. And I think to be an artist and to do what artists do, and especially people that are, like, either comedians or rappers, people who are, like, just, like, solo artists that are selling themselves, I guess it's just naturally a narcissistic thing to do, You're literally selling yourself. You got your face on stuff. You got your name on stuff. You got things that you've art you've made, you know, and you sell. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt kind of weird looking at all that stuff. I had some of it was interesting. Like I have there's a really big blown up a poster of my face. It's probably my favorite photo of myself that I've ever, like, promo photo. There's this, I'm wearing a red, like a burgundy hoodie, and I'm sipping a cup of coffee, looking real nonchalant. And Def Jam blew it up really big, and it was the poster that was hanging up in their office. Like if you walk through their office, they have all their artists on these posters, you know, like Rihanna and Rick Ross and all this shit. Then it's just me sipping a cup of coffee, and always thought it was real funny. And before I even left there, I was like, yo, let me get that poster. And actually, I can't remember exactly how I got it, but I got it. Where's that from? I got it. That's a stand-up comedian said that. Yeah, so I have that poster, the poster of myself that was hanging on the wall at Def Jam. Now it's, what the fuck, is that an earthquake? No, it couldn't be an earthquake. It couldn't be the second earthquake I felt while recording the podcast. I always feel fake earthquakes. Probably just a truck driving by. What was I saying? Yeah, so I have that. I have like some artwork artwork of myself that fans have drawn. I just have tons of shit, man. Like, you know what I want to do? I wish that anyone that was a fan of me could be in Los Angeles and I could just have a fucking yard sale, like a merch yard sale. I'd like to do that with like me and Dom and Watsky and whoever, Intuition and all the artists that I know around LA. Just like have like a fucking like a merch yard sale for anybody that has just leftover stuff. You know, I'd sell some of the old T-shirts. You know, I sold USB flash drives, and you know, a lot of things that was in 2011. A lot of things have changed since then. It's 1 gig on them, you know, which is like practically useless now. They're cool. They look like a spork. They're like wax scrub light flash drives, but you know, they're 1 gig. I mean, I think I was selling them for $20. And if I did a yard sale, I'd fucking sell them shits for $1. I'd fucking give them to anybody. I'd give all that shit away. But I'm not going to throw it away, you know? And I'm not because I'm a hoarder, just because I know somebody would want that shit, you know? And so yeah, that's why half of the stuff it's in boxes is stuff like that. Mostly T-shirts. It's almost all T-shirts. I just have all these weird T-shirts that I had leftover shirts, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm sure that was a really interesting topic about my conversation about my leftover T-shirts. I actually had something written down that I wanted to say. I had one thing written down, but I don't know how I'm gonna. I was just thinking, you know, I think a lot about, you know, we're human beings. That's all we are. We're human beings. And our form has really not changed much in thousands and thousands of years. You know, any evolution we've gone through has taken long time. But obviously the evolution of our culture, the evolution of our technology, you know, we were the same people 400 years ago, but the world was very different. Very, very different. And the main thing that what I was thinking about the other day is, you know, we have access to pornography and just, you know, the lightest pornography to the hardest pornography, you know, like, and back in the day, you know, in the 1600s or whatever, they had nothing. I guess maybe they probably did have some shit. It was all print stuff. They probably did have some print stuff. Before photography, they probably had people paint nude women or paint maybe people having sex or whatever. But like, I just feel like it's strange, like, you know, to a kid, maybe like say you're in America in the 1700s and your family went on the Oregon Trail expedition. And then you settled in a small community in Oregon. Now, if you think about it, the only time that you ever see sex, the only time that you ever see breasts, the only time that you ever see a vagina is like that rare time that you might have sex with whoever becomes your wife. Like there's no access like we have to all this shit. Like it's hard to imagine nowadays, but it's actually ludicrous. It's actually bananas how much access we have now to just seeing, like, you know, we could see thousands and thousands of different women naked, many of them doing crazy things. And that access has to have some serious effects on our mind and effects on the way that we have sex. I wonder, you know, I just feel like back in the day, say you're that Oregon Trail person, you get your wife, like, anything that you do sexually is essentially some shit you made up. You know, like, I mean, maybe you talk to your friends, and be like, dude, I found this new thing. You know, you can actually lay her on her stomach, and like your lower stomach actually touches her abdomen while you insert into her vagina. But you know, that, like, I feel like there's no discovery now. Like, you've seen it all. And if anything, you have to do something, you know, with your wife or with your girlfriend. What you're doing is probably more tame than the most hardcore shit you've seen. And I don't know. I just think it's weird. I wonder, because, you know, humans are creative people. Like, that's our main mode of, our main thing that we want to do is create. And I'm not just talking about people that create music or do art or whatever. Like, you know, that we just want to create. Like, even a janitor is creating a clean floor. You know what I mean? That's like, there's something in us that just wants to build shit and make shit and create shit. And I wonder if we're stifling our sexual creativity now because we just fucking have seen people do it. I don't know. It's weird. Like, would they be, like, of course they had 1 million kids back then. Like, who would even think to, like, pull out? Or like, you know, who would think it'd be a sexual thing to, like, come on different parts of the woman, you know? Why would you do that? People would think that was weird, right? Nowadays, it's not. Nowadays, they think it's normal. It's normal to go pull out and go to the face. That's what the pornography does, and that's what sex is, right? That's probably what a young kid thinks. That's probably what I would have thought. I didn't even have the access that these kids had. I didn't have nearly the, Jesus Christ, I didn't have nearly the access that kids have now to pornography. And it's only going to get crazier and crazier. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting world we live in. It's a very weird world we live in. I was thinking about, you know, just like this fucking societal norms that we live by today, you know? Like, it's just like regurgitation. Like, we're taught in America that America's the best, capitalism is the best, socialism is evil. But it's like, is it? I'm not saying that capitalism is bad and socialism is good, but I mean, isn't there some bad effects of capitalism? Like, unchecked like, it's one thing if there's a farmer's market and you're selling your fresh fresh farm raised eggs so you can feed your children. But if you just take until you can't stop taking, like, and everybody's like, well, if he has a right to take everything, if he wants to take everything, this is America. Everybody's free. Get as much as you want. Like, that's not evil? How is that not evil? I don't understand that. And people say that, like, it's fair. Like, I don't know if that's true. You ever play Monopoly? You know, if you play Monopoly and you got $100 and the other guy's got all the hotels, is that fair? I mean, you have a chance. You have a chance, and I don't mean chances in chance and community chest. I mean a chance of winning the game. I don't know. You know, it's just this. I think what makes me, I don't even know what I'm talking about here, but I think basically what I'm trying to say is this. I think the problem with capitalism and the problem with American society currently, and since a lot of other countries kind of follow what we do, or at least are in the same line of what we do in the Western world. I think one of the reasons that shit is fucking up and people are depressed and shit is weird is because we're pushing this individualistic thing. We're pushing individualism, which is cool in a certain way. It's cool, like, if you want to express yourself, but like to really push this essentially greedy, every man for himself. The individual needs to go and fucking crabs in a barrel, work your way to the top while pushing people down. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily the best way to look at things, you know? Anybody that had like a positive psychedelic experience would tell you that they learned that the world is one. Everything is all one. Not that everything, Well, then again, as I say that, animals killing each other. Even plants, if you watch them in a fast time-lapse video, are competing with each other. So, competition is natural too. So, what the fuck do I know? I don't know anything. Everything that I'm saying right now is just some bullshit that's spewing out of my mouth at a relatively rapid pace. And that being said, first of all, let's be honest. The best thing that I said today was my intro story about falafel. I should have never went into any kind of political nonsense. But if I could fucking sit down and write what I was trying to say, it would make more sense. Let's get into some questions and shout-outs. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what kind of questions and shout-outs we got here. I don't have as many questions and shout-outs today. Shockingly, I've been slacking on that a little bit. I'm not too far behind though. I'm about a month behind now on the emails. Let's give some shout-outs. Pedro X. Joanna S. Hey, Joanna, I will be responding to your email tomorrow. So I didn't have time to respond today, but I want to give you a nice lengthy response tomorrow. A nice lengthy response. Give you a lengthy. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Pedro X, Joanna S, Heskey, Sean K, CY I Hate You. That's CYIH8U. That's also his YouTube channel, youtube.com/CY I Hate You. Big shout out to my man Ed from Chicago. What's up, Ed? Got Blaine S, Josh T, Random Shits from Norway, Trevor J, Ethan H from the UK, Trevor in Sacramento, a.k.a. Master Madman. Got the man, Marcus M from Vegas, the one and only Nimbus Cloud. We got Abed A from Palestine, and we got Ryan G from Maine. All right, what we got here? All right, this one is from Aaron James. Hey, Wax, this is what's all one word? It's in several times he says that's one word, so I don't know if that's his. Whatever, I might have said his last name. If so, you got two first names. What do you want me to do? This is Aaron James. I'm going to act like it's one name. I'm going to act like your mom and dad had a disagreement. And they're like, let's just fucking put the name together. And of course, right after you were born, they divorced. This is Aaron James. Love the podcast, even though you're just hitting record and bullshitting. For some reason, that method creates an authentic stream of consciousness. I am an aspiring comic artist, and I listen to your podcast while I draw on ink pages. No lie, you caused me to fuck up some line work on occasion. Shit is hilarious. It's all good. Keep it up, brother. I appreciate the pause, Aaron James. I'm seriously, he's a comic artist is what I wanted to get out of that first paragraph. Not the praise, but I do appreciate the praise. I'm seriously considering moving out to Cali for the sake of my art. I need to be where I can really exhibit my work and be around the kind of people I can network with. I'm not sure if you get this question often, but what is the best way to go about making a move like this as an artist? The best answer would simply be how you went about making the big move, and what would you do differently, if anything? Thanks for being you and doing you with very little fucks given. You can check out my comics on my... It's funny, like I said, I was kind of going through the emails pretty fast, and I didn't even read that last sentence. And I missed that you said you're an aspiring comic artist. I thought that you said you were an aspiring comic, and then you just happened to be drawing while you were listening to the podcast. I didn't even get the fact when I first read this email that you're an aspiring comic artist. I thought you were a fucking comic, a stand-up comedian. And I was going to say that, dude, yeah, speaking of stand-up comedy, I actually saw every once in a while, like a big name comedian would do a show at like a pretty small place here in LA. And I got a text from my homie Frank. Shout out to Frank. Say Word Up, man. Say Word Up is the podcast that my boy Frank does. You guys should all listen to that. He plays awesome music and says funny shit. So check that out. But he texted me on Sunday morning. He's like, yo, I got an extra ticket to see Louis C.K. at the Comedy Store tonight. And I was like, all right. And I went, and sure enough, Louis C.K., man, he was, I thought that he kind of had been on, like, granted, his show is awesome. He's amazing. He's a fucking brilliant dude. But I thought, like, as far as his special, I thought the last one wasn't as good as some of the previous ones. But some of the shit he's got going now is hilarious, man. He killed it. And maybe it's funnier even to be there watching him work. But I thought you were saying that you were an aspiring comic. And just as a side note, for anybody out there who happens to be a comic or into comedy, like, more so than anything, like, well, I guess acting and directing and filmmaking and stuff, obviously LA is one of the best places to be, but like, if you're in comedy and you're good, you can get ahead here, straight up. The opportunity is so vast. Like, there's all these small open mics, and then there's also, once you hone your skill enough, there's open mics everywhere. And it's like, if you're dude, I'm telling you, if you're funny, if you're good, if you're hilarious, like, you can build a career for sure. You just have to hang out at the clubs, go to the open mics. People will give you shows if you're good, I'm telling you. So I'd recommend it. Now, in your case, Aaron James, it's aaronjamesdraws.com, by the way, y'all. I fucking did not check that out, man. I'm sorry for not checking it out. I'm going to. As far as being a comic artist, first of all, I don't know much about that. And second of all, if you're talking about stills, like the actual comic books, I don't know that moving to LA is something you have to do, right? I don't know that you have to move to LA to do that. Now, if you want to get into animation, I would imagine this is a great place to be. There's tons of jobs to be had here. But just in case, I could very well be missing something. This could be a great place to move for that. So in case that is the case, I think that making the move is actually way less difficult than people think. What makes a move like that difficult is the following. A fucking girlfriend. B, children. C, if you have ties to home, even your parents, your brothers and sisters, your friends, you're gonna have to leave some of that behind, and it's sad. One of my biggest regrets in my entire life, and I still regret it, is my sister I have a nephew who's now 19 years old, and I missed a lot of his formative years, man. I was really close with him when I was a kid. I still feel like I'm close with him, but I missed a lot. I missed a lot of his years, man. And it was for selfish reasons. I wanted to come out here and do my thing or whatever. And there's gonna be regrets like that. But I really don't think that besides that kind of stuff, I don't think it's difficult. Just do it. Just make the move and think in your mind. I'm just gonna be living in a different place and trying to do what I love for a living and make the best I can out of my life, do something useful for myself, maybe even useful for society, something that makes me happy, and just do it. And, dude, you can always fucking move back, You can always move back. Another obvious difficulty is it's going to cost you some money. But you got to save up, man. If you want to do it, save up. I don't know what you're doing for a living now, or if you're making money doing your drawings now, but you're going to have to save up some money to get out here if you want to make that happen. When I did it was like, as far as my move, long story short, I moved to San Diego first. I moved from Maryland to San Diego, and when I did that, it wasn't because I was trying to succeed. It was because I wasn't succeeding at all on the East Coast, and my girlfriend at the time got a job in San Diego. She actually got hooked up by some other people that I know out there. So I was like, fuck it, man. Moving across the country, that sounds fun. And then when that relationship went bad, and I was in San Diego, and it was when I was in San Diego, which is only a short move from LA. It's only 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. So it wasn't as hard as a move for me, but I did have to just come here, and I didn't know one person here, and I was just all alone. But it wasn't as big of a move for me because I didn't decide to move to LA and try to do something with myself until I was already out there. So I don't know if any of that helped, man, but good luck with your career, and do your thing. All right, I got another one here. This one is from Big D. We got Big D on the podcast. All right. Mike, I hope everything is good with you, especially in regards to your naggy neighbor that hates you. Well, I won't be seeing much of her anymore starting tomorrow. I was also hoping that you could shamelessly plug my Twitter and Instagram. All right, that's at Dimitri C. At THEDIMITRIC at the Dimitri C. Because like you, I'm an asshole with a big ego. Thanks, man. I don't know what I don't promote. I just plugged his shit. For all I know, he has child pornography on there. I have no idea what it is. So I repeat, I do not back Big D's Instagram. Well, anyways, I have a question that may have been asked before. I'm still trying to learn how to play guitar, and I was wondering if you had any tips or advice for somebody who's trying to learn. Also, I don't know if you remember or not, but I'm quite a large guy, and my giant sausage fingers make it really difficult to finger chords. Any advice in regards to that? I know you probably don't have that problem, but it's worth a try asking. Anyways, I'm finally caught up on the podcast, and I really don't mind if you're doing them every 2 weeks instead of weekly. I'm still not even sure how I'm gonna do that, man. Every 2 weeks kind of works better for me since I'm trying to really go hard with this music. But let me know what y'all think. Hit me up on Twitter or whatever, and let me know if it pisses you off that I don't do it every week. All right. Also, I remember when somebody had mentioned about having background music throughout the podcast, and I thought I'd make a suggestion on that. Maybe you can just have some simple instrumentals in the background when you read the listeners' questions. Just a thought. And the Amazon money, maybe you can rename it to the Get Wax's Ass into Canada Fund. I think this email is long enough, and I understand that you won't likely read it on the podcast. Well, you were wrong, Big D. So I may as well tell you that you should really look to get some advice from Limpy Kit, and he spits more fire on the mic than I've ever heard. Well, I agree with you on that. Be safe out there. Big D, 20 years old, 6'2", 230 pounds, student, banker, sales rep, likes chocolate, is afraid of the dark. This is what most emailers are doing now, right? Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures to send you. Sorry, man. All right, so you're 20 years old, you're 6'2", and you're 230. Big dude. And you said you had giant sausage fingers. It's strange that you use that term because I always use that term when describing the dude who taught me how to play guitar. And maybe even worse than you, I have small fingers. I have, if anything, I have the opposite problem as you. Like some people have like those fucking long, heavy metal fingers where they can make chords like mad frets apart from each other. So don't consider yourself at too bad of a disadvantage. I don't know what it's like to have. More so than playing guitar. I feel like, how the fuck do you type on an iPhone? That's what I don't understand. People like Shaq and shit like that. How the fuck does Shaq type on an iPhone? Doesn't he just hit every letter? I don't understand that. But the guy that taught me how to play guitar, Jim Wood, I don't even know if he's still alive, man. I hope he is. I need to call him and say thanks, man. He really was an amazing guitar teacher. He had these small, lengthwise they were small and widthwise they were large. They were like these oversized Vienna sausage fingers. And he still got down, man. He got fucking down. Hey, classic Django Reinhardt, jazz guitar player. He only had 2 fingers. He got down. Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. I think he was in a fucking construction accident or a motorcycle accident and cut the tips of his fingers off. And he still got down. The fucking guy from Def Leppard, man. The drummer from Def Leppard lost his arm. Still ended up getting some new foot pedals that could play kick and snare. Bam. He's good to go. But suggestions. Let's talk besides your fingers, because I just don't know what to tell you about that, because I don't know, we have different hands, man. You know, as I said earlier in the podcast, mine are delicate. I can't risk anything. I don't even play guitar anymore. What if I hurt my delicate hands? But yeah, I think that what the fuck was I gonna say? Beyond your finger size, you just gonna have to deal with that, because that's not something I just don't know through experience what that's like. But I will say that learning a musical instrument, it takes patience. It's like learning to skateboard, you know? Like, you can learn to ride a bike pretty quick, but if you want to learn how to skateboard, especially if you want to learn to ollie, then learn to kickflip and stuff like that, it's going to take you a while to learn it. And most people just give up. Most people like barely learn how to skate, barely learn how to play piano, barely learn karate, they barely do stuff. But if you really want to, man, it's going to take you some time and a lot of patience. And some of the shit's going to be annoying. Like the hardest thing to do starting out, you know, you can learn your chords, you can get your fingers there, but the hardest thing to do is to switch from chord to chord in time. And it just takes practice and it takes patience. So my main advice for anybody who's trying to learn how to play the guitar is just be patient and learn the basics. You know, it depends what you want to do, man. If you really want to take this shit seriously as a career and all that stuff, you should learn at least a little bit of theory, how people put songs together, how certain scales can be used on top of different chord changes. But, you know, if you're just doing it for fun, man, just, you know, you could even keep it as simple as just like, yo, I want to learn this song, then learn it. Any minute that you play, any minute that you spend just playing is a positive thing that will make you better, you know? So it just takes practice and patience. That's my amazing advice on that. 20 years old, man. That's awesome. Just enjoy your life, bro. 20 years old is a great age. All right. This is from Angus from Australia. Yo, if your name is Angus, do you even have to put from Australia on it? Is there an Angus that exists that is not from Australia? It'd be rare. It's like Nigel from the U.S. Like it's a rare occurrence. All right, Sup Wax. I know you've been asked this a million times before, but this might also be helpful for new listeners. And it beats going through 72 hours of I can't do an Australian accent for shit. All right, and plus, just trying to do the accent just makes it so I'm just saying the words and not actually reading them and fucking concentrating and understanding what's being said. Okay, I know you've been asked this a million times before, but this might also be helpful for new listeners. And it beats going through 72 hours of podcast to find the answer, so fuck it. I shouldn't even read this one. I'm a dick. In the $200 to $400 range, what's a good USB audio interface and microphone to get for someone to record vocals and maybe guitar or bass? But I can live without that. I've got an SM58 mic, which is good for certain shit, but I want to step up the sound quality of vocals and can't find a reliable review for something slightly higher up. Same thing with audio interfaces. Again, sorry to ask such a repetitive question, but your advice would definitely be appreciated. Cheers, man. The reason I wanted to answer this is not because I have the answer. Anybody that knows me, especially my musician friends that know me, know that I'm not a gear dude. Like, I'm blessed to have all the shit that I have, but like I've had, you know, even my guitar that's sitting next to me, I know it's like an Epiphone. I mean, even that, it's an Epiphone. Like, why do I have a fucking Epiphone? I should have a better guitar than that, you know? And I don't, it's, you know, whatever brand. It's like letters and numbers and whatever it is, you know? I only know what kind of mic I have because I've been moving into the studio and thinking about mics and preamps. And I've been thinking about gear a little bit the last couple weeks because I've been getting a little new things here and there and kind of like looking up stuff and making sure we got all the right shit. Got a few new pieces of gear. I got a new audio interface. I got the Motu 828. We got the Mackie Big Knob to complete the studio and have all the fucking, you know, what's it called? The talkback mic and whatnot. My boy Davey's got he's got a 1972 Moog synthesizer that's crazy. He's got this Roland Juno 60 synth from the 80s that's crazy. He just bought this new this new Roland System 1 synth, which is fucking bananas. Like, we're getting bass sounds that are just epic. But you want to know about a microphone, and I just wanted to read this to tell you that I don't know what you can get. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the best microphones you can get are, but if you're looking for a condenser mic in the $200 to $400 range, you can absolutely get a good condenser mic for like $300. And what I would do, and this sounds really stupid to anybody that's been to Guitar Center, but I'd go there and see what they got, check it out, talk to some people that work there. Maybe, if you want to really make sure you get the right shit, just see what they got in your price range. And go to some forums and see what people have to say. Obviously these audio nerds are all going to fucking disagree with each other just for the sake of disagreeing. But I think if you do your research like that, you'll be able to find out, man. The last person you want to ask is me, because I don't know. And there's no right answer. I mean, if you get a condenser mic for $300, it's, I feel like, and this has been, I've talked to people that really know gear and they somewhat agree with this. Of course, there's always exceptions, but with microphones, like, you kind of get what you pay for. Like, like they price it because they price it based on where they are in the spectrum of microphones. Like, all the microphone companies kind of like, they put out this mic and they're like, well, it's not as good as this $300 one, but it's better than this $200 one, so let's price this one at $270. Like, they kind of know, So in the world of microphones, I've heard that it's kind of like you get what you pay for, with the exception of a couple great cheap mics and shitty expensive mics. But that the SM58 is what I record my podcast with the SM58 so I can hold the fucking mic. And I'm not saying it sounds amazing, but as I always say, it's what Bono uses in the studio. He uses the SM58 right there in the studio. At least that's what they say and what he says. Who knows if that's the case, but I've probably just heard somebody say that once, and I've been saying it for years. But an SM58 is not a bad studio mic. People say you need a condenser, but I'm telling you, you can have a dynamic microphone and it'd be fucking fine. All right, mate. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you emailing the podcast, Angus. And shit, that was the last question. So here we are. That brings us to the end. The end of Wax's podcast, episode 75, the commemorative episode. I feel like I should sell some type of holographic memorabilia coin that has my face. And then when you go walk to the other side of it, you see the Wax's podcast logo. But, alas, I don't need any more shit at my house that has my name on it. So, don't wait for that product to be online. And be safe out there.